What is up, side hustlers, entrepreneurs, business builders, and dream makers? Welcome to the Study Your Side Hustle Podcast, episode 54. Great to be back in your earbuds once again, as we are every single day of the work week. Guys, it is a Friday, and it is a good Friday at that, because it's a special Friday. This Friday, you get not one, but two episodes of the Study Your Side Hustle Podcast. So one's coming out right now, one's coming out later in the day, so you're going to want to keep an eye out for that. All right, so today, I want to talk to you about something that I am actually baffled to realize I've never talked to you guys about before. I looked through all 53 episodes, and at least by title, I've never brought this up before. It's possible that in discussion I've mentioned it, but we need to have a conversation about this because this is so critically important for anybody who's starting a new business, and it's something known as the N30 Principle. If you look it up, you're not going to find much on it, but it's actually built on statistics. It's based on what we know about reality. And so let's go ahead and dive into the N30 Principle. If you've taken statistics, even like an intro to statistics course, because you had to take it because you were going into healthcare or something like that at college, if you've ever taken a statistics course, then you learn about something, maybe you don't remember it, but you learned about something known as the central limit theorem. The central limit theorem is basically the process by which we are able to normalize data so we can get that standard bell curve that everybody recognizes in statistics so that we can figure out standard probabilities. So what we do is we take a large sample size, we use the central limit theorem, we utilize the central limit theorem to normalize our data, and then we get things called z-scores, and we get things called p-values, and then we're able to figure out what percentage of the population has this characteristic that we care about. For example, when you look at something like IQ is on a scale. A perfectly average IQ is an IQ of 100, and then there's these things known as standard deviations that we get. And within those standard deviations, we get to learn something about society. So 65% of all people have an IQ between 75 and 115. 95% of all people have an IQ between 70 and 130. And then 99.7% of all people have an IQ between 55 and 145. That's the spread. I think I kind of did that in my head. I have to write it out, but that's pretty much it. And the reason that we can know the statistics, the percents around that, is because we've normalized the data using the central limit theorem to get those standard deviations, those z-scores, those p-values. I was just using all of them. What you need to know about this, though, is in order for us to do that, to actually be able to have usable data, the central limit theorem actually requires that we have a sample size of at least 30. So in statistics, our sample size is always represented by the letter N. So the N30 principle is the using of something that we've learned in statistics in business is the N30 principle. So you need 30 data points to be able to have statistically significant results. Okay? So I apply this to when I'm coaching and when I'm teaching people about how to start a business. And what I do is I'll tell them, if you're going to start something new, if you're going to try something you've never tried before in your business, then what you need to do is you need to commit to the N30 principle. You need to do it a bare minimum of 30 times before you are allowed to assess whether or not it's worth continuing. So every experiment that you run should be ran in the mindset of the N30 principle. If you're going to run the experiment of trying cold calls, you need to make at least 30 cold calls. If you're going to try an experiment of starting a podcast, you need to commit to a bare minimum of 30 episodes. You have to do 30 before you're allowed to assess whether or not it's worth doing. So that's the N30 principle. The reason we do that is very simple. As entrepreneurs, as business owners, we are constantly operating in this world where we don't know whether or not we should continue doing something. Everything is a guess. Everything's an experiment. Everything's a gut feeling. And that can cause us to do two things. It can cause us to either jump ship before we should, or it can cause us to stay on board long after we should have jumped ship. And so the solution to that is having a standard that we agree to before we start a new project. And one simple standard that is statistically significant is if you commit to 30 of whatever the activity is. So you could also say, okay, we're going to commit to doing this plan for the next 30 days if it's something that's done daily. That's the philosophy. And I'm sorry that I haven't shared that with you guys before. This is probably the most important thing that you could learn from this podcast that you're not going to be able to find anywhere else, because very, very few people who are making this kind of content have the statistics background to understand this. So The N30 principle is crucial. It's something that you should absolutely implement in your business. You should be thinking through that lens whenever you try anything new. Share this with anybody that you know who is a business owner so that they can use this as well, because it's going to be a huge game changer for their business. Okay, that's what I have for you guys in this episode. There is another episode coming later today, so keep your eyes out for that. All right, that's all I got for you guys. Love you so much. God bless.